What's up, guys and gals? Your host with the most, Griever, as always. And what are we talking about today? What are we reviewing today? The Breaker final season, Eternal Force. The Breaker season 3, or whatever you want to call it, is back. The Breaker is done off its hiatus from New Waves, and now we are back, and we're on Webtoons. Okay, we got a few things to talk about before we get into this first chapter, because apparently this stuff was released in May. I found that out. I said, The Breaker's back? The Breaker. You mean that series that I read like 10 fucking years ago is back? Really? I'm like, all right, The Breaker's finally back. I mean, I'm talking the original Breaker, and then there was New Waves, of course, and now Eternal Force has been released this year, but it was released like a few months ago, and you might be asking yourself, why am I reviewing the chapters now? Well, I'll tell you why. Because I only found out about this like 4 weeks ago, alright? I found out about this about 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks ago at most. I found about it last month. Let's call it last month, okay? I found out about this, and what did I do like a normal person? I didn't read the chapter. No. I went back and I said, okay, where the hell did we leave off? Because this was a few years ago, and I'm getting up in years. So I reread The Breaker. Then I reread The Breaker New Waves. And now we are finally here, a little late to the party, not gonna lie, but Webtoons is only up to chapter 11, so I figure I can catch up if I double up these reviews as far as I can until I reach up to the current state of Webtoons, and boom, dandy, we can get there. Now, we might make separate videos on The Breaker and The Breaker New Waves, beside, not chapter reviews, of course, but discussion videos. We might open up that possibility. But first and foremost, a couple of issues right out of the gate that I have, two, in fact, with The Breaker Eternal Force after only reading chapter 1. Only chapter 1. Actually, I sort of have 3 issues, but I'm going to discount the third issue because I'm going to wait and see where that goes. But maybe we'll talk about it. So, reason 1. Problem, you could call it. Criticism. Number 1, color. The reason I read manga and not Western comics, no goddamn color. Shading's better, things look better, and usually colored takes more time, takes away from the art, less shading looks shittier, there's not as much detail. Honestly, color, regardless whether I'm reading shonen, shoujo, or some of that R-rated shit, I steer away from the colorized versions of shit. Not gonna lie to you, black and white is better. It just is. Sort of always has been. I don't know what to tell you. Even in detailed art, like in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I can't stand the colored panels. I almost skip. I just read the dialogue and skip it back to when I get back to my black and white because it looks cleaner. It looks better. And unfortunately, The Breaker, while having good art, and I'm not going to say that the Webtoon version has bad art, the colorization is taking me out of the moment. Not going to lie, it's taking me out. And that brings us up to criticism number 2, the Webtoon format. Yes, I said the Webtoon format. I'm not going to say the manhwa format because manhwa format is incorrect. Manhwa is Korean manga. I've read many Korean manga over 10 years ago, and I've read them currently to this day, and there is no rhyme or reason why people seem to associate Korean written manga or the term manhwa with this long strip, comic strip format. While it has been applied in the recent years, that's not actually a correct term. A manhwa is simply a manga that comes out of Korea or done by a Korean artist. So, yeah. And I'm not a huge fan so far, even in this first chapter, because of all the great double spreads and all the fighting that's bound to take place, I'm very concerned about how the detail is going to, for a fighting manga or manhwa, is going to take place in a webtoon format. I'm a little concerned about the long strip format for this particular action-packed manga. So that concerns me. And number 3 is the repeating history vibe that I'm getting from this chapter. but why don't we talk about that right out of the gate? So, at the end of Breaker New Waves, there was a lot of shit that went down, but we don't... Jumping into this, and a lot of people on Webtoons seemingly don't even know about the Breaker, 1 and 2. A lot of people think that this is a pretty good opening chapter, so I'm going to take the benefit of the doubt that my pre-existing knowledge isn't doing me much favors in this regard, though I am very hyped to see Soooooo again. I'm very hyped to see him. And, of course, he's still seemingly a member of the Soooooo clan. And that's pretty cool. He's seemingly still the head from what I understand here. At least that's what the comments led. Maybe that was spoilers. I'm not sure. Either way, we're introduced to a new character at this rate. We're introduced to a new character. We're introduced to Ha-Jae Kang, who is basically in the old Sooowoo's shoes. Being beat up every day and... being like lunch money stolen, being bruised and beaten and bullied, and nobody stepping in. And this weak individual is on the school roof and wants to kill himself. And he's being beaten up by this asshole Eun Ho or whatever. Basically, we're repeating history from the original Breaker. And I don't know if that's a great direction. That's why it's criticism number 3, but with a question mark. Because I'm not sure whether to dislike it quite yet. It could go in a very different direction from what the Breaker did, right? But so far, I'm sort of sitting there like, I don't know. We see Soooooo right out of the gate, and he seems much more mature, much more badass than when we last left him. Though he was quite a badass in New Waves at certain points. He ends up pushing this kid who is trying to commit suicide right off of the school building, but then he wakes up in the infirmary and everything's fine, but now he's being bullied once again. So what was the point? I don't know. There is an opening shot, by the way, of some other, like some Suits assholes, which, by the way, guy in the glasses is back, Mr. Side Hair, guy in the glasses, who should be killed for a number of reasons, just like the Elder from the original series, because he caused a lot of misconceptions and ultimately deaths of people who did not deserve it. If he would just sit down, shut up, and do what the main characters told him. Why is this guy still alive? I have no goddamn idea. Anyway, they're apparently going on their way to the school to meet, I'm assuming, with Soooooo, because he's Soooooo. He's the head of the Soooooo clan, and he's a badass. But anyways, we follow along that particular line later on, I'm assuming. He wakes up in the hospital bed. Our other character, Ha-Jae. He wakes up with his bullies over his bedside. They take him out clearly to some part of a school building. And apparently he still wrote the suicide note and everything. He realizes that when the life flashed before his eyes and all this crazy stuff that he was thinking, there was a lot of philosophical shit going on when he fell off the roof, or he was pushed off the roof, and when Soooooo was talking to him. But at the end of the day, here, he's being beaten down by his bully once again, where he says, remember, when he fell, he wished I could just hit my bully just once in the face. Just once. I'd like to hit him. Even if I get the crap kicked out of me, even if I die, I just want to hit him right in the face just one time. And now he's got that opportunity here, and we're waiting to see if he's got the goddamn balls to do it. So in the end of the day, his bully is there. He stands up. He tries, but he keeps getting his ass kicked. He does try to punch him, but of course the bully is taller, bigger, stronger, and he can see a punch coming a mile away and just, oh, you actually gonna fight back, bitch? You actually gonna fight me? That kind of shitty ass talk. I don't know why this kind of shit ends up going on. Realistically, like, it's... people like this exist all over. Like, I was bullied in school, but never to this extent. I think almost the 90s and 80s were better than today's society, because this shit, or maybe it's the culture, I have no idea. Maybe Korea and Japan and stuff is different when it comes to bullies to this level of extreme, but I don't remember this, and I don't even remember seeing this type of stuff happening, even if it wasn't happening to me. You know, somebody would tell a teacher, somebody would stand up, somebody would be a tattletale, something would go down. Like, even all the way up to high school. I never remember this level of beating a guy where he got bruises all over his body every day for weeks and months on end. Never remember seeing this, so this must be a cultural thing. Maybe I'm just up here in Eastern Canada feeling the good life. I don't know, but yeah, it's a harsh fucking dilemma out here in a public school of all places. You know what I mean? Like, I can see the private schools being harder, you know, in a sense, the elitist attitude. But either way, he tries to fight back. He gets his ass absolutely kicked, but he decides to stand up for himself, and he decides he's going to actually try to fight back, even though he's scared, and he's being brave, but he's also an idiot, and he's also scared. Soooooo shows up at the very last minute and decides that he's actually braver than he thought. The bully character, Han, or whatever his name is, I'll get those names down eventually, ends up saying to him, like, hey, I know second year, this badass delinquent, and this is, of course, we're going back to old school manga. Hey, there's a hierarchy, the student council is the strongest, and if you mess with me, you mess with second year Ko Sok-yo, and he's the greatest, and stuff like that. I made that name up. But anyways, Soooooo, of course, does not care, and he decides to actually help him out, but he ends up just giving him good form technique, like, hey, hold your fist like this, and go like this, and then pop. And then, of course, he sends what, well, we know from at this point, when the bullies go for him, he pokes him, but he sends a bunch of course, ki or chi into his body and ends up ding, and makes his body move like a puppeteer, and boom, has him actually smack out and knock out his, not only the main bully, but also the other two, after they realize that Yun Ho is not getting back up after one slug to the face. And he knocks both of them out. Soooooo pretends to have not have done anything, of course, and walks away pretty happy with himself, I guess. He's like, you're the one who beat these guys up. You're the one who did it. I didn't do shit. And now we're gonna have the idea of another. He's now gonna be the Nine Arts Dragon. Is that what we're going with? He's gonna be Chunwoo, and Soooooo is gonna be, or this new character is going to be the new Soooooo, you know what I mean? And that's why I said it's part number 3 criticism, where I'm not 100% convinced this is a great storyline to go down. But as long as we focus more on as long as this, because we switched from real manhwa or manga into the webtoon format, maybe this first 10-20 chapters is going to be a way to introduce new readers into the series, because I saw a lot of comments on people who never heard of The Breaker and are reading this for the first time. So I think that might have been the case. Maybe they couldn't get a licensing deal, maybe they couldn't get a publisher to do it in manga format, but they could find a way to do it in webtoon format, so they jumped at the chance and they've decided to do it. And this is their way to introduce new readers. I'm not saying that they're going to drop them off necessarily, these new characters, but potentially Soooooo is still the main character. We're still after the Nine Arts Dragon after a couple of years, because a couple of years have clearly passed. He's a second year now in high school, so he's got 1 year left. So that would put him, I think this is 2 years after the incident. I could be wrong. Maybe it's 18 months. It's at least a year after the initial incident, I believe. And it's even brought up at this original chapter, in this first chapter at the very end, is that Soooooo says that, here's the deal, is that I asked the same thing, because he asked, can you make me stronger? Can you make me defend myself? That kind of idea. And it's like, I asked the same of somebody once upon a time. And listen, that is not a great idea. That's a terrible idea. because he's asking, please make me strong. And he basically ends up saying, I also begged someone like this back in the day. And what I got in the end was despair, frustration, and a man I have to defeat. An enemy I have to destroy. And he thinks of the 9-arched dragon. Let's fucking go. Beautiful paneling that realistically is taken away by this long strip format. I really hope that I don't think there's ever a chance they're going to switch it. Unfortunately, I think we're going to have to suffer through the webtoon format for something that should be in manga format. But, you know what? I'll take the breaker being back. That's basically the end of the chapter. Shiwon walks away. But at the end of the day, I'm very happy that the breaker's back in any format. I'm glad I get to see the art style again. The characters look solid. Once again, my two critiques is webtoon format is doing this action manga zero favors. Zero. Because the manga format was way better. And for action-oriented attacks and stuff. And for the big, double spreads and all that stuff. And the other thing, of course, is the colorization. The colorization is taken away from the detail of these character models, in my opinion. And the emotion and the efforts and just the rawness of the characters, in my opinion. But other than that, I know that sounds like a lot of bad points, but it's not really. It's personal opinions, it's personal bias, and it's someone who has been waiting for the breaker to come back for quite a long time. And now that it's back, I'm disappointed in the way they chose it. I love reading webtoons, but I don't think webtoons are coherent to... I think that their format does not... I think a manga format is clearly better for action-oriented every day of the week. 10 out of 10. Manga format is far superior for any action-adventure version. No matter what action-adventure webtoon you read, I think that if the same artist did the same thing with a manga format with double-page spreads and none of this long strip shit, it would look far superior every time. Every time. I have no doubt of that. But that's a bit of personal bias on my part. So I could be full of shit. Either way, I'm actually really stoked about this chapter. I'm really stoked to see the characters back. And I have a lot of questions. New Waves ended in a very big cliffhanger. And I just reread it. What happened with the Elder? Why is he back? Did Shiwon learn the other techniques of the 9-art style? Did he learn the other techniques of Black Heaven? Well, of course he knows Black Heaven and Earth technique, but the Elder doesn't. So did he get it out of him? Did he not? Is he still actually? The only thing that I know is that he's probably still head of the Soooooo clan, because the Soooooo clan, because somebody mentioned it in the comments, and I got a little spoiled by reading the comments on webtoons. But other than that, okay, so he's still the head. I assume that. He's still doing martial arts. I assume that too. What's happened in the last year or two? What's been going on? And I think that's why we're having this new main character for now, this new MC, because we're going to follow in the line of the Miriam. And we're going to learn, and we're going to see familiar faces and all this stuff for the next few chapters anyways. And then we'll see where the story actually goes. So, what did you guys think? Are you fans of the Breaker? Or are you just getting into the Breaker now and wondering, what the hell am I talking about? What do you mean? This is just a webtoon. There are no prequel series. No, there was original manga series, and I urge you to go check them out, because the Breaker and the Breaker New Waves were great manga. They really were. They were great. So anyways, that's all I have to say. Like, comment, and subscribe. Drink responsibly as always, and we're going to be around here a while, because this series just got started in May, and I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. I'm going to catch up with the webtoon current chapter release, but from what I understand, there's other sites that are almost 5, 6, 7 chapters ahead. I'll have to wait and see how these videos do, and then maybe I'll bite the dust about the webtoon version and just jump over to the other sites to read to get caught up with the series. I would hate for these videos to do bad just because I'm too many chapters behind. You know, that is what it is. That's on Webtoons, not me. So, but we'll wait and see. So what did you guys think? Like, comment, subscribe. See you back here next time.